All right, picture this. You're about to buy that awesome thing you've had your eye on. You know the one you're just about to click, confirm purchase, and bam, everything freezes. And it's not your internet, no sir. It's a cyber attack happening to you right now. Scary thought, huh? Well, that's where these digital warriors, cybersecurity consultants, come in. They're the ones in the trenches fighting off these digital threats. And in this deep dive, we're going to figure out how they do it, the tools they use, the skills they need. It's a whole world of cybersecurity out there, and we're diving in head first. Now, you might be thinking, cybersecurity, that's for the tech geniuses, not me. But hold on, this stuff affects everyone who uses technology. And let's be real, that's pretty much all of us these days, right? We found some seriously interesting research on this, so trust us. Whether you're a tech newbie or a coding whiz, you're going to want to stick around for this.
Absolutely.
So let's kick things off by, actually figuring out what a cybersecurity consultant does all day. It's not all like hacking into the mainframe, Mission Impossible style, is it?
Right. Haha, no, not quite. It's way more strategic, Think of them more like, how can I put it? Digital detectives. Architects. Maybe even a little bit of firefighter thrown in there.
Okay, I like where this is going. Digital detectives, architects, firefighters. I'm intrigued. Break it down for us.
Sure. So a lot of what they do is actually about prevention. That's where the whole architect thing comes in. They're diving deep into a company's systems, trying to find those weak spots, those vulnerabilities, before someone else can exploit them.
So they're like building up the defenses, making sure there were no cracks in the system.
Exactly. They're doing risk assessments, coming up with these ironclad security policies, and making sure everyone in the company is on the same page when it comes to security best practices. It's all about being proactive, staying one step ahead of the bad guys.
Okay, so that's the architect side of things.
Yeah.
What about the detective work? How do they sniff out threats that are already in the system?
Now that's where things get really interesting. In our research, we found this incredible example of how something called a SIEM system, that's Security Information and Event Management, for those who don't speak acronym.
No worries. We appreciate the translation.
Right, of course. Anyway, this same system basically stopped a major cyber attack dead in its tracks. Imagine this massive network of computers all sending information to this one central hub, like a giant security camera system, but for a company's entire digital world.
Okay, yeah, I can see it now. A high-tech control room, screens everywhere, flashing lights. Someone's probably wearing a headset.
Exactly. So this SIEM system, it's constantly analyzing all this data, right? Looking for anything out of the ordinary. And in this case, it picked up on a pattern of activity. Turns out it was someone trying to sneak in through a back door.
Oh, sneaky.
Right, but the system flagged it right away, alerted the security team, and they were able to shut down the whole attack before any damage was done.
Wow, that's incredible. Talk about a close call. That's some serious digital detective work right there.
Right, and that's just one tool in their arsenal. There's intrusion detection systems, encryption tools, vulnerability scanners. You've got your firewalls, which are like the frontline security guards, and antivirus software, which is more like the cleanup crew, dealing with any digital viruses that slip through the cracks.
And speaking of tools, what about this whole world of, network security? It sounds kind of broad.
It is broad. It's this whole ecosystem of tools and techniques that are all about protecting your network. And by network, we just mean the pathways that let your devices talk to each other.
So, my home Wi-Fi is a network, right?
Exactly. You probably have a password on it, yeah. That's basic network security. But obviously, it gets way more complex on a larger scale. We're talking firewalls controlling who gets in and out, intrusion detection systems on high alert, and even something called ethical hacking.
Wait, ethical hacking?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Oh, yeah. It's where security experts actually try to hack into your system themselves, but in a controlled way, of course. The idea is to find vulnerabilities before the bad guys do. It's basically a controlled breach to strengthen the defenses.
Fascinating. I learn something new every day on this show, I swear. But, okay, so you've got all these incredible tools at your disposal, but at the end of the day, they're only as good as the person using them, right?
100%.
Which brings us to the skills you need to really make it as a cybersecurity consultant. And I was actually surprised to learn that it's not all about being a coding genius.
Yeah, for sure. Technical skills are essential, don't get me wrong. You gotta know how networks work, how systems talk to each other, but I'd say the real key is being able to adapt and learn new technologies.
Hi.
Fast. This field changes so quickly, new threats popping up all the time, so being able to pick up new tools, new coding languages,
Yeah.
that's crucial.
So it's almost like being multilingual, but for computers.
Exactly. But here's the other thing. You need those problem-solving skills too. Remember the whole digital detective thing?
Right.
It's more than just a cool name. They need serious analytical skills, to look at a mountain of data and spot those tiny patterns that might actually be a sign of an attack. It's like a constant game of chess, trying to outsmart the opponent before they even make a move.
It sounds intense.
It can be, but rewarding too. And speaking of skills that you might not immediately think of when it comes to cybersecurity, let's talk about communication.
Yeah, because that might not seem as obvious. Why is that so important?
Well, imagine having to explain a major ransomware attack to a room full of executives who don't really get tech jargon.
Uh-oh.
Right. You've got to convey the seriousness of the situation, the potential impact on the company, and present a clear plan of action, all while speaking their language.
So you're not just a tech expert, you're a translator too. Makes sense.
Exactly. And one last thing that our research really hammered home was this idea of continuous learning.
That makes sense. This field is constantly evolving, right?
Constantly. New threats emerge every single day. New technologies, new ways for those hackers to find those vulnerabilities. It's a nonstop arms race. So you have to be incredibly curious, always asking questions, and never stop learning and adapting your skills.
Otherwise, you're toast.
Pretty much.
So to kind of bring all this together, it's clear that cybersecurity consultants are kind of like the unsung heroes of our digital world. I mean, they're protecting us from a threat that's constantly changing and evolving, right? Digital detectives, architects, firefighters, all rolled into one.
Right. And with AI becoming more advanced, the Internet of Things expanding like crazy, and cyber attacks getting, more sophisticated by the day, you can't help but wonder what's in store for the cybersecurity consultants of the future.
What will their job look like in 5, 10 years? It's definitely something to think about. I mean, it seems like as we rely more and more on technology, the role of these digital guardians is only going to become more vital. So if you're out there and you're thinking about a career in cybersecurity, well, this might be your calling. It's a challenge, no doubt, but it sounds like it's never boring.